me coming like an intruder. I give you last a lesson of verbal combat with ill pin maneuvers. Stuff through ya. When the spoon hits the teacup, you wake up. Welcome to my class. Just listen, don't speak. Visualize what you can't see. Call me the rap Bruce Lee. Wing tongue techniques. Let the flow creep like you deep that hasn't eaten for weeks. I've been fast no sleep, but y'all been sleeping on me like hoopers on New York Park benches. Homie, I never left the trenches. Plotting patiently and calm with my ears open listening to these culture vultures. Praising worldly sculptures. Man, they wearing skinny jeans and Maybelline. Sipping up so much lean, they dying to reach their dreams. Run around like, hey, Miss Thing. I'm like, hey, yo, son, pass the crown to the king. You dig? Get your hair right, y'all doing it wrong. Boys make the beat, now that's a dope song. Get your game tight, homie, not your team. This is grown man rap. Get your sweet 16. Get your hair right, y'all doing it wrong.
My response, I think LeBron, and let me finish. LeBron, arguably one of the best basketball players of the time. Phenomenal athlete, phenomenal entrepreneur, businessman. Probably a phenomenal husband, and from what I've seen, phenomenal
like you
father.
said, get the analogies, get directly to the point.
Thank you.
That's not an analogy. I'm making my point. That's not an analogy because I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about Luka Doncic.
We know all that. We wouldn't know. Get to
that's not it. Hey, do we need to? Hold on. Before we can continue conversating, do we need to have a dictionary present?
No, not at all.
Well, that was not an analogy.
Give me your direction, sir. Hey, man, don't
if we want to be direct to the point, I see what you're saying.
Nah, hold up, partner. Don't ever come at me, my education partner. You know what I'm saying?
No, that was no.
Listen to me, dog.
That was. The definition means that
like that,
needs to know the definition of
an analogy.
Hold on, see, you gotta understand.
Let me feel inferior to you, Calvin. I'm not inferior to you, fam. This is a discussion.
What are you talking about?
Don't try to don't belittle me, cuz. Don't belittle me.
Don't
not belittle me.
My apologies if you felt that you belittled me. But hey, this is just like Jacob Blake. Do you not see how you belittle me first? Do you not see how you belittle me first?
Who I am.
Listen, Paige, I know you. You know me.
You do, sir.
Do you understand that you belittled me first?
How?
You said, hey, no analogies. Let's get straight. And I wasn't speaking analogies. I told him no analogies.
Listen,
and then you got to chime in and try to make me feel like I'm doing the same thing that I told him not to do.
Nobody's right but you, Calvin. Everybody's wrong but you, brother.
This is the problem.
This whole conversation, you cut into our conversation. Don't let us speak how we want to speak. It's about Calvin. You know what I'm saying? Can we give our points? Just because we don't agree with you doesn't mean we're wrong, brother.
Okay, you're right. You're right about that. You're right. I got you. You're right. I completely understand. But maybe this is the dividing line because within every fiber, there are certain things that I believe, like we all were able to, when we talked about Jacob Blake, I chimed in. And this is, forgive me for that because that's not civil discourse. I'm not really able to understand where Reggie's coming from, Damon, you coming from, Des coming from. I'm always over.
Because you're not trying to. You just look like where you're coming from. You're not trying to see our.
That's what I'm saying.
I see your perspective the whole time, but you don't see ours at all. You don't.
No. See, that's what I'm saying.
What we try to take, because Kevin, we all agree with you. Jacob Blake was wrong. We said all three of us said that numerous times.
But you didn't take it. Yeah, you didn't take it.
No, because listen, I did take it. We then begin to talk about, okay, that's what I'm saying. We need to get the NBA players because the narrative being put out there is that every situation that's happening is a black man being brutally shot by the police for no reason. It's not that he was wrong. Everybody's talking about that he was shot 7 times, but they act as if this man had no reason to be shot. And I understand that. Look, Paige, hey, I'm gonna clear the air right now. And that's because one thing I should have, you know what? That's the thing. You know what I came to do today is get straight to the point and speak the truth regardless of how anybody feels.
That's totally fine with me. That's totally fine with me. You know, but you gotta understand that because you feel a certain way, we feel the same as well. We do too. You know,
I agree.
So you can't always say we're wrong.
Or it's irrelevant.
You can't say that. You can't say that.
I can't. Listen. I believe when you're talking about something, you should stick to the point.
Well, we all have, but every,
to the point,
okay, well, then it's irrelevant to the point. Don't say our opinion is irrelevant.
There's a root point.
If
There's other
I'm talking
points you
about
can take
something
in other
that leads
places.
into the point, yeah, if we're talking about something that leads into the point, it's to
There's
also
a
give our
root.
listeners a better understanding. You know, people that listening to us, whenever I come with an analogy, it's basically the reason why I speak in analogies is somebody that doesn't understand the situation, they can actually, oh, okay, this is where he's coming from.
They can still understand it by using a different point of view. That's right.
Point of view. It's just like I use that with the abuse example. You know, just because a woman is not being hit doesn't mean that she's not being abused.
That's a
so
fact.
you know what I'm saying? Like so
like I understand that, but I don't understand how that applied. That's what I'm saying. When I say so, I speak up because I truly don't understand how certain analogies apply to this situation that we're talking about.
Applies to oppression, which is what the basic of the topic was.
What's that again?
Right.
That analogy applies to oppression, how people can be oppressed by something that happened back then, but that's not happening now. They can still be oppressed by it.
Yeah. And
that's why the analogy was brought forward. But he couldn't finish because you kept cutting him off.
Mm-hmm. Yep, exactly. Thank you, Des.
We have got to be totally honest with ourselves and that we're going to be open to what other people say, or else we're never going to get to a common ground. I want to know what each of these people say because each of y'all have different outlook on life and have experienced different things. I cannot expect all of y'all as black men to think and know the same way that I am. That would be totally stupid.
It's impossible.
So in order to understand that, I need to hear what y'all have to say without prejudging anything you guys have to say.
Facts.
This topic here, we're speaking amongst 4 black men. Imagine how hard this topic is when white people are brought into the play.
Woo.
And these are 4 black men. We're 4 black men.
Right.
So imagine how hard, Calvin, that's depression. That's the oppression. Those are the things we're talking about when we're able to finally speak our word in this context. Nobody here is over any one person. All of us are in it, all of it 100.
Equally.
Nobody's opinion. There's no Mollies here. There's no Mollies here.
Facts.
This is not first take.
Facts.
Everybody gets a chance to say their piece.
I can dig
Even if I don't agree with it, I'll listen to what everybody is saying.
I want to hear it. You know what I'm saying? Because
I want to hear it.
I take a point from each one of you individuals. You know what I'm saying?
How can I change my mind if I'm not going to take nothing y'all got to say?
It helps me, shoot. You know what I'm saying? Because I didn't know that y'all put me on game about.
I'm going to tell you my opinion, and you got to take it. Oh?
And that's all we were saying, Calvin, just like this, bro. Like what I like, we agree 1,000%. Jacob Blake was wrong. And now coming back and circling this back to what the NBA people are saying, there's this false narrative out there that we're painting George Floyd and Jacob Blake and Lamar or anybody else or Breonna Taylor as heroes. We're not saying that they're heroes. We're using their names so that people can put a visual with their circumstance. We're protesting the circumstance of why this is happening to them. We're not saying that these people are Martin Luther King or Malcolm X. Nobody is saying that.
Angels and have never done nothing wrong ever in their lives.
I believe the reason. I believe, and look, to be quite honest, the friction is coming because in every situation we talk about, it's the same conclusion. Like, I'm not going to believe that, like, based upon what I've gathered, I don't believe that what we see now, as far as our cities burning up and based upon 3 or 4 people and situations, that the black man as a whole is oppressed in this country. Like, I wouldn't, although I know you guys agree, that's where I stand. I know that you stand there. I believe the friction is always going to be there. And I think that because in the beginning we said the absolute, the truth is not only relative, it's absolute. Because I think, honestly, I believe the narrative that is being put out as far as when you look at these individuals is false, it's a lie, and there's an agenda behind it.
Wait,
why would you feel that a person's personal circumstance is that?
That happened.
Black people, and here's the thing, and Calvin, and here's the thing, the stuff that's going on right now, the media is finally paying attention to us. This stuff been going on for years, man. When I grew up in the 80s, and 90s, my brothers my brothers in their 50s. they had friends experience the same stuff. These same stories circulated among the Black community. That's the reason why if you go look at like the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and one episode with Jazzy Jeff, he's in the court with Uncle Phil and he had his hands up and he was just being stupid and being funny, Jazzy Jeff. Different world. You know what I'm saying? They was talking about, like, bro, this stuff been going on ever since we was young.
There is
right now,
nothing new under the sun.
Nothing at all.
The media is finally paying attention to our story.
Right.
Well,
Now,
y'all, they don't have to. We got cameras now. We pictured our own horror stories. We get a picture and put it out there for others to see. Before y'all, there was no video cameras. And these guys, these cops right here, they didn't have body cams on either.
Yeah, that's another thing.
And these stories were folklore. They were what we would call folklore. Everybody knew somebody that had a story like that. Or they experienced it. It hadn't particularly happened to them, but they knew somebody that knew somebody that it happened to.
So my thing is the whole reason, and I'm talking about Jacob Blake. The whole reason the whole NBA boycott happened, it wasn't just because of Jacob Blake. It's because all the ones previously up to Jacob Blake.
Yes, sir.
So they wasn't mad just because Jacob Blake. They was mad like we just went through this. That's why we here.
See, now I understand, but see that, and that's what I'm saying. That's where the friction comes with me, because I'm like, my goodness, why aren't they saying, man, look, if we understand that there's been a history in this country,
right,
of Black men and women
slavery
shot and killed by law enforcement unrightfully and unjustly.
Okay, stop. You just said what we all have already been preaching that you said didn't exist. So we know that there is.
No. See, that's what you got me wrong, Des.
Hold up, Des. Let him finish, Des.
I said history. There's been a history of it.
Okay, history means it happened, it's noted, we know it, right?
Facts.
Yes, of course, we've known that this has happened. These things have happened.
Okay.
But with these things happened, I'm trying not to get all over the place.
Okay.
The thing that gets me is like nobody. It's of course, y'all may say, "Oh, we agree that he did everything wrong," but no one's saying there's no need to protest when a man is not a law-abiding citizen. He didn't give these cops any reason not to shoot him.
He didn't give him a reason to shoot him 7 times either.
See, oh my God, we talked about why they shot him 7 times.
I feel you. Man. Listen.
Calvin, because that's saying if they wouldn't have shot him 7 times, there's a chance the man wouldn't have even been paralyzed. If they wouldn't
have shot him 7 times, there's also the possibility that if he had a gun in the vehicle, he could have turned around and returned fire.
I didn't say shoot him once. I said shoot him 7 times.
I said 7 times too.
I man, like everybody's gonna disagree. You'll say that he should have. He was not compliant and it's justifiable. As people gonna say it's not justifiable.
It's justifiable for him to get arrested, not to be shot 7 times.
But the boiling point of this whole thing.
This is where I can't.
The boiling point of the whole situation, the protests and everything else, is not just because of Jacob Blake. It's because of everything up to the point of Jacob Blake.
And if we look at the majority of them. Go ahead, Paige.
Good point. But the whole thing, what I'm saying, it's the whole thing what everybody's fighting for. You know what I'm saying? Everybody wants, you know what I'm saying, we want equality. You know what I mean?
Equality, right? Okay, so when we talk about, if we talk about just equality, if we move off of these isolated incidences with law enforcement, because they are isolated incidences.
All right.
These are not things that are happening every day. That happen
all around the United States of America on a daily basis. But yeah, they're isolated. Continue.
They're not happening every day around the United States of America.
Calvin, you said our cities are burning. That means they're rioting in every city. So that means it's happening all around the United States.
Yes, right. Rioting means that every day that somebody's rioting, that means a cop shot a Black man or woman unjustly. No, it does not.
Only when these protesters, only when these rioters say that's the reason why, sir. Yes, that only then. Sure.
I could say
lately. Anyway.
I could say my neighbor came across. Here's an analogy. I could say my neighbor came across and stole my bike, but I really didn't have a bike, but I liked his bike, so I went over and took it. That doesn't make it right. I can say that in protest, but nonetheless.
But we don't know that though. I don't know your neighbor. I don't know if your neighbor come over and got your bike. I don't know vice versa. I don't know that. But what we're seeing in real life, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Are white cops killing black men and women. That's what we're seeing.
Right.
That's what they're showing us.
You're right. We know that there was a shooting. Most of the time, we don't even know all the facts before we open our mouth like LeBron James and sound ignorant.
Well,
like
the funny part about that is, the funny part about that is
the reason without being ignorant as well.
Wait, but the thing about the facts is they're not telling us the facts either. You know what I mean?
I agree.
They're making us draw conclusions, and they're not defending it. They're not defending it. They're not defending it.
That's the thing on both ends. From law enforcement and on the media side of it, I guess you could say.
But so they're not giving us mad at LeBron James for reacting the way he's reacting. You know what I'm saying?
Right. To what he's seen.
His people are being killed.
Yes. And this is what I hate when people do this to LeBron or Doc Rivers or any of these athletes that's speaking out to my
ain't human.
Like, yeah, but these guys got friends still in the hood. These guys still think about when they grew up as teenagers, and they still know people. Just because you got money and a nice house,
that don't change who you are.
Smiling, don't mean that you forget where you come from.
You don't.
And you forget about other people.
Those people that were raised are still living in that place.
And then,
we can probably all agree that it's a prime example that.
What I have a problem with when people make that comment, just like you said about LeBron James, calling him ignorant and stuff like LeBron.
Do you know why I said that though?
Huh?
Do you know why I said that?
Yeah, you said because of the comments he made. You prefaced why you
no, it's not because of the comments he made.
What is it then, Calvin?
He's by no means uneducated. And anybody says that should get slapped.
Right.
Straight up. Not an uneducated man.
Right.
But when anybody, especially with someone as much influence as he has,
right,
speaks on a situation, not having all the facts, knowing that what he says, there's a million people hanging on his word, ready to go because of his influence. Like, you should make sure you have all the facts and make sure you're looking at it objectively.
What did he say? He didn't go out and tell nobody to do nothing violent.
What did he say? Man, I'm tired of us getting killed.
Right.
Okay.
Where's the lie?
That's the thing. First of all, the guy didn't die, and the reason that when you only say that side of it, that's the thing, guys. He's not
talking about that one person. He's talking about in general. Doc Rivers was talking about in general. Not one
all of them who've ever been shot by group police violence.
Come on, y'all. Are we really going to protest now for what happened 400 years ago?
Yeah.
We never stopped protesting, bro. Where you been at?
We never stopped.
It's never stopped.
It never stopped.
That's the thing. Why are we living in the past?
Because it's our present and our future.
But y'all said, this, and we have to understand this back and forth. It's just what it's what it is. It's not a.
It's cool.
I'm not trying to interrupt anybody.
It's just be better.
This is back and forth banter and debate. You just continue with your thought process, sir.
I'm just saying, but I just want to make sure everybody's straight.
Because I promise you,
I just want to make sure.
If you say something disrespectful to me, you won't have to say nothing. I'll say something to you.
Same here.
Let's wrap the show. Let's wrap the show.
How we do? Kick it.
Because that's the thing, man. I'm not, all of a sudden, that's the thing. Because I come from a different perspective.
Yeah.
I'm a disrespectful person.
What? No. That's not it. Ben, that's not it. I'm not.
Hey, Calvin, we've already broken down to you how you disrespected us here. So if you take it in any other way, that's on your own personal feelings. It ain't got nothing to do with me.
That's the thing. Let's clear the air then before we even proceed.
We already did, we thought. But obviously you aren't clear yet. So bring it back again, I guess.
I'm not clear. I'm not the one that said anything about disrespect. But I did want to make sure that I wasn't disrespecting because it's not intentional.
No, you good. Okay. Go kick your thing. Kick your truth, man.
And that's the thing. Look, yes. That's the thing. Why I don't understand why. Who decides when we get to do the back and forth banter? Because this is
nobody.
What we were doing earlier, but it wasn't okay.
No, because you said you need a dictionary. You need me to help you to decipher what you
break it down.
You know what I'm saying?
That's kind of stop. All right, everybody stop talking. Because I'm telling everybody stop right now. Because Paige, once again, you still have not acknowledged that before I even said that, I had made a reply to Reggie and say, man, I'm tired of having to stick to the point, man. And I began talking and breaking down my point. And you said, can you stick with the analogy to get to the point? You have yet to recognize that that was disrespectful to me.
Okay. I apologize. You felt disrespected. You know what I'm saying? But you didn't apologize to Reggie for doing the same thing. It's okay. Let's move on.
It's okay now. Let's just move on.
Man,
don't make a spectacle of it, right?
Listen, man. If we need we need a pat on the back, you know what I'm saying? If we need you to give you a high five to continue your conversation.
I don't need a pat on the back.
If it's that serious,
it's all good.
If it's that serious, man, we can kill it. I ain't
black men. We equal, right?
Are we?
As far as I know.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? Because it seems like, I mean, we're having a conversation here, you know what I mean? I want you to kick your truth. I'm listening. I'm all ears. You know what I mean? Just because we have a back and forth banter and disagreement, that's all you got to do.
And that's the point of all this.
What's the point is because when I said, all right, look, I just want to make, and I just made a point to say, hey, I don't want to interrupt anybody, but we're kind of back and forth. And we're in the thick of it right now. Yeah. Like, oh, just speak your truth. And then you had to chime in and said, you need to know that if you disrespect me, I'll let you know it. But I'm like, okay, wait, hold up. This is the same back and forth that was going on earlier that y'all got onto me about, saying it wasn't cool that you did this.
No, I just wanted you to understand that you don't have to stop every time you're saying something and say, I hope I don't offend nobody. I hope I don't disrespect nobody.
What's wrong with that? That's just good manners.
If you do, right? I'm just letting you know that if I feel you disrespect me or anybody, I'm going to say something. So just continue. I thought I'd stopped it there, but
I think the best way,
something that you wanted to say.
That's why I think the best way to approach this is because we can always be all over the place. We are very passionate men who have very strong points of views. All right? So that's why I believe it's best to proceed during these episodes, like sticking to the script. Like everybody should have made their points, move on. Make your points, move on, because ultimately we know how we all feel and we all got each other's back. Our mission here is to educate the audience. But we have to be able to each speak our truths and our points effectively so that they then can get this content. And so because we can do this just kicking it. Unfortunately, you in South Carolina, we all in different places. This is how we do. But I think when we're doing this, and especially with this is a sensitive subject, man. And we all knew it coming in. It wasn't going to be no NBA basketball. We can kick and have fun, man. We're talking life or death, man. For not only the people involved in the shootings, but the people in the communities whose businesses are burning and people are getting shot and killed during these riots. Like, we're talking life and death. This is heavy.
People are getting shot and killed during protests.
Man, see, this I'm not gonna do. Okay, so every protest, there should be something burning up at night. Protests happen at night, but at day. But when night comes, do y'all know what's happening? There's riots happening, y'all.
I mean, man, listen.
Well, yeah. The cities don't burn unless there's a human there to set them.
And it's nothing that we can control, man.
It's not right.
It's not. A lot of things aren't right.
That's what we're dealing with here. A lot of things that aren't right.
That's
the
world.
See, that's the thing. Yeah, the same passion.
Our main emphasis on, like, yeah, we know that the riots are not right, and we don't agree with the riots.
I don't riots.
About it is that we're more upset about the cause of the riots.
That's the thing.
Why they're even rioting in the first place.
Point blank, period.
Honestly, me too.
There's a cause. There's a cause. There's an effect. Action, reaction.
Right.
And we're at a point now. I believe that we're all angry at the cause of these riots, but I think
what's the cause, Calvin? What's the cause of these riots? Why is it taking you so long to answer?
Man,
give that man time. Give that man time.
I'm just wondering.
A lot of different places. I understand you go to a lot of different places with this. The main agenda for these riots, or not just for the riots.
I said we said cause
of the riots,
not agenda.
No
agenda means somebody else has something to do with this. What's the cause of these riots?
To divide us as people, not just as black people, but as human beings.
Oh man, you went around it. You went around it.
To divide, the riots are meant, the protests are meant to divide black people. Because that's what we're talking about. What are the, what will be the riots? The riots are meant to divide black
all right,
people.
let's do this then. We are no longer discussing unity. We're no longer discussing unity in this country.
Never was discussed though, brother.
Yeah, it was. It was constantly.
It was built off division.
Calvin,
and you're right. A lot of times it was constantly happening.
Has this country been? When does this country push unity?
We've been inferior since, I don't know, beginning of time.
When does they push unity, brother, that I wasn't aware of?
That segregation is that segregation was like, that was the norm.
Yeah, remember when we first, remember the first black girl
that was
school?
How many years ago?
50.
And everybody acts like that's not a long time.
That's not.
It's not.
Well, it is more than enough time to see a change, true enough. But we have not seen that change in 50 years.
Why do you say
in
because now that
years?
What has not changed?
We did in just 50.
Tell me what has not changed.
Progress has not changed.
What has not changed?
What I'm trying to tell you
Ben, I feel you coming from, Ben. I feel where you're coming from.
And I get what he's saying is, it's the mindsets. And the best way to break mindsets is to educate and show people of their subconscious bias. So if you've been subconsciously trained, and even with black people, that's the reason why a lot of times we have the crab mentality of between ourselves. If we see one of us rising or anything like that, we'll pull one of us back down. It's just like that, and I hate to even say it like this. That's why sometimes I feel like that there's unnecessary hate towards certain people that have like made it. You know what I'm saying, that are black and they may get caught, but these are subconscious things that are programmed in us. Also, think about our history lessons. You know, in our history books, our country, true history is not talked about. The 4,000 treaties that were broken between the colonists and the Native Americans, that is not even in a history book. You have to go find that out in the National Park Museum up there in Washington, D.C. to read about all the treaties and stuff like that were broken. And then how many deaths actually happened of Native Americans. And then when you go to Central America, you see all the rapes and stuff like that. That's why you have the beautiful Brazilian women, because you had African slaves, you had, Spanish conquistadors, and you had the Incas and the Mayans that were there, and all that stuff mixed in together. That's why you see that beautiful tone of women over there. But besides the point, you know what I'm saying?
Wait a minute, get some ice water. Get some ice water.
Get some ice water, you know what I'm saying? But what I'm saying is, when you start talking about the actual history in this country, and you start talking about like, okay, basically in this country and the subconscious bias, what is white is right, and what is black is usually considered darkness or wrong. It even can go all the way back into our religious subconscious thoughts that black is inferior to white. And it's like, even when our Negro spirituals, wash me white as snow, put on me a long white robe, and all this type of stuff, that everything, and what I'm saying is,
that's
all
not
our
in
heroes,
reference to skin color, man.
What I'm
that
trying
not
to
in
tell
reference to skin tone.
Wait. Yes, it is. I'm finna circle it back around, because even when you look at when black people all throughout society have said something, most of the time, most of our movements or anything else did not get valued, or even our products don't get valued until somebody white endorses them, or somebody else white comes out and say, oh yeah, he has a good point. And then most of the time it will get validated. And I've even seen, but that's subconscious training that, if, you know what I'm saying, it has to be validated through usually a white mouth. You know what I'm saying? Because even, like I said, we've been trained since like our youth through our public school system of that, because of the way our books and our history books are made up. So what I'm saying is, and all of that, circling back around to the points where we're still looked at as, where racism still exists. And we talked about some stuff earlier that you didn't want to bring up, and that was the redlining and the Supreme Court justices and different things like that. And not only the Supreme Court, but the district courts and the regional courts and all of that type of stuff. We had 178 people, none of color, appointed to these positions. So you're talking about all these different type of things, people that are making the decisions, and there's a generational divide. So you got people that grew up during segregation era with segregation mindset and their value now in making decisions. So if I've always understood equality, if I've always understood that somebody else's oppression meant equality for me, as soon as they start screaming for equality, it's gonna make me feel oppressed as a, you know, if I'm in position of power, because now my power is being challenged, because this is the only way of life that I've known ever since, you know, I was born in the 50s and 60s, and I knew what a white folk was, and I knew, you know, what a black people was classed in my mind. Now I'm making a decision,
to interject
and
real quick,
subconsciously, those decisions gonna dictate in our laws, in
to
our,
interject
you know,
real quick,
and
I
how
think
different things
to interject
go.
just real quick, Reggie.
Okay.
I understand what you're talking about, but I think to me, it seems as if we are generalizing every single person on that Supreme Court bench. And I don't think that's okay. I don't think that's fair. I don't think we can generalize a mind state, especially. And even and going to
I agree.
the years back that they've been there, and as many years like these, okay, then we could be talking about some of the same people who saw the civil rights movement and the change in the progress that we've had since then, who've seen Thomas, what's his name? First Black Supreme Court.
Oh, Thurgood Marshall.
Thurgood Marshall, who's seen Clarence Thomas, who's seen Anita Hill, who's seen these Black people continue to be elected to high powers within our government to help make progress towards making these decisions, and ultimately, here comes Barack Hussein Obama. Now, this is why I say, I guess we're circling all the way back around, because this is why I say, man, I think we were doing a dang good job of progressing. Something else is happening here, because when we talk about all the progress, and all of a sudden there's a digression.
It's not a digression. It's just
where's the digression at? These black people are still put in these positions. And actually, now sports players have more power. That's where they can cut off a season, to cut the pockets off, to let these owners say, hey, come in with us. Y'all remember the scene in Godfather where they all sat around the table? And they said, hey, Godfather, use your connections, your contacts. Let us all live like you live. That's what we're saying. Owners of every pro sports, NHL even, which has maybe 2 Black people, they're even putting Black Lives Matters and holding ceremonies before every game. They see that it needs to occur.
Like, look,
so it ain't just a particular few, and it ain't just Black people.
And I know that we talk about
all people to understand. It ain't just Negroes that's saying it's wrong. It's white people, Chinese.
They're tired of it.
Major League Soccer, y'all, they kneel before every game.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it has nothing to do with Black people. Don't minimize our movement. It has to do with people of color. And whether people want to believe it or not, white is a color. White is a color. Last thing, I want to ask everybody: how many races are in the world? Approximately. How many races are in the world?
How many races?
Races, approximately. Damon, how many races?
I don't even want to answer that, because I don't even believe race as a construct, because you have to go cultural to the different
then bypass you, Damon.
And there's a lot of races, man. More than I didn't even know
of.
Give
me an approximation of a number.
Let's go with
over at least 100.
At least 100 plus races.
Okay, so now's the number, huh? Okay, 100, over 100 races.
No, listen, just to give a number, but I just wanted to let you know
more than that
on race as a construct.
Okay.
A lot of races.
Reggie?
Because you can mix different races.
I said about 1,000 or more.
Ooh,
okay, y'all.
Right.
And to my approximation, there's only one race in the world. Human.
Human race, yeah.
That's my dog. He's on it today.
Human.
He's on it today.
Humans made color. God made no color. He couldn't care what color you were.
You killed us all.
Humans did this as a way to oppress another set of humans.
That's the real thing I heard.
True.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
True.
That's where oppression comes from, and it's gone on for millennia. And no, Calvin, not just against black, because Indians were kind of oppressed too. They came and took their damn land.
They were kind of, they dang near wiped the entire.
Okay, so we know oppression is not just against black. It's been moved against all races. They couldn't overtake blacks once they brought us here, so now they continue the oppression. If they could have done us like the Indians, they would have.
This is where I'm getting. Look, and that, but that's what I'm saying. Listen, God had a greater plan, thankfully, because they could have. Why couldn't they have? They had all the guns.
The same reason why those two white cops had one black dude and couldn't restrain him. That's what, because they're the will of the black man. That's why. Because if not by God's will given us, we would end up just like the Indians. But God, y'all imagine a world with no Negroes, no sports, no music. Take all Negroes out of the world. Is that a place you want to live in? Not me.
My dog, hey, listen, you know what? Hey, thank you, Des. You put it in a perspective. Thank you, man. You put me on game today.
I look. Right and wrong, guys.
You're right.
I don't care what the cop did or what the black dude did. The end result was wrong.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Give me a break.
No, it wasn't. The black dude was going to get his just dues in court, not by the cops' hands. And that's why we have laws. So, but
that's why we have laws, man.
But we're going to go deeper into this when we talk about those laws and how they're governed against Negroes.
Yep.
To keep them oppressed.
Yep.
That's
a fact.
From the stand your ground law that allows people of any color to do it. But when black people use this stand your ground law, it's not. They can't use it. It's not for them.
Tell me what? Okay. Give me an example of a stand your ground law. Used not been able to use.
In court, there's been at least 100 that I just seen on Facebook alone. I'm on YouTube alone. I know there's more.
Well, the stand your ground law about what?
The stand your ground law against her husband who was beating her, a known beater who had been arrested many times for beating. She took off to the only place in her house that was safe, the garage, got the gun, and pointed it at him and didn't even kill him or shoot him, shot in the wall, and you stand your ground as her defense. 20 years in jail.
Yep. And we've seen
isolated
that
incident, man. That's ridiculous. And it's wrong.
Every incident is isolated until it gets brought in with amongst a lot of them. Every incident is isolated. Brooks is isolated. The last one that happened in Minneapolis is isolated until we bring them all in together and know that there's a commonality in all these instances.
Listen, look. That's the thing. This is what makes this frustrating as a black man, especially because you're going to sit here and tell me that every single situation where there is that the media decides to make mainstream news.
Calvin, this last incident was not made known by the media. These are recordings from civilians.
Yeah, I'm not talking about the recordings, Des, because the media then takes these recordings and then they tell you how to interpret them.
No, you interpret any way
come
you
on,
want.
man. All right, look, I'm not even gonna do it. I don't have time.
But Calvin,
I ain't got time for it.
Whenever I hear people, whenever I hear you say that and white people say that, to me that hurts my heart because
it's all conspiracy.
Listen, it hurts my heart because what you're saying is y'all so ignorant that you let the media tell you what to believe.
Yeah,
you're ignorant. That in so many words.
I can go into a long analogical spill.
No. What I'm telling you is,
I'm telling you why I don't mean that. I don't mean that in a degrading way.
Please, but I'm just saying, I'm gonna tell you what it sounds like when somebody else hears that.
Doesn't make.
And I've heard it so many times.
But what they hear.
You're not saying. But as soon as you tell me, okay, it's like, okay, say for instance, when the women marched in Washington D.C. and I went and I was at a co-worker and they was like, yeah. Women not getting paid enough money in their jobs, and I'm loving what they doing in D.C. marching and stuff like that. I'm like, so you gonna let the media tell you what to believe about that women are oppressed and that
that's not the same thing. See, that doesn't match up, Reggie.
What's the difference? Great analogy, sir.
There's not a crime. Listen, you're looking at something that
What I'm saying,
Okay, you see
we're
people
talking
marching.
about the media.
There's not a situation that you can be like, oh, you can see it from different perspectives.
I'm talking about
doesn't match
I'm talking
up.
about the media.
I'm talking about the media example. Whenever you say something about, and I'm not using that as a way to talk about the crime. I'm not talking about crime. I'm talking about that comment about the media. When
that the media can construe stuff once they get it and make you believe something.
Yeah, and for you and I hate to even say it like that, it feels like whenever you and I've had to talk to some of my friends about that, and say whenever you say that, you're basically telling me that what I've experienced, I'm too dumb to interpret my own experiences.
That's right.
I'm too dumb to.
Studies have shown. I've not done my research on it, but I'm saying, studies have shown.
Also with the media, here's the thing with the media too.
We're talking about TV programming, y'all.
But I'm getting that. But that's half of the reason why black men.
No, Calvin, when I talked about them dudes and the video I seen, that wasn't TV. That wasn't TV. That was media.
Listen,
that was media.
And when mainstream media, I understand if we all got the raw footage from the video and that's all we saw, that would be cool. But people don't see just that video. And that's what I mean by that. So
what are you
we
saying?
know that TV, that's programming, they call it programming for a reason. And Reggie, to act like, I mean, if maybe y'all don't know, you haven't done your research on this topic, but all major cable news networks are only owned by like 5 major companies.
We know that.
And to tell me, so the 5 major companies with all these people, there's not objective points of views. That many objective points of views.
All those are objective points of views for each of those companies. Just because you have a stranglehold over a particular thing does not mean you're the only one that has a say-so on what people think. Just because Walmart has a stranglehold over big business,
programming for a reason. So if you continue to push a certain narrative for so long, you're pushing it, so that's all people see. It's subliminal. That's all you see. You see. But you begin to believe what you see.
I'm telling you, it's not all people see. There's so many things to see out here that it's not even funny.
And Kevin, all that we're saying is
people hardly even watch TV like that.
But most people are not. Most people are not like us. Most people, they're getting their one source and they're running with it. They don't even believe. Nobody does that.
Everybody has so many sources they use.
Let's do Keeper's Corner. All right, so on this episode of Keeper's Corner. This is our part of the show where we highlight whoever we want to highlight. We big up and we really are able to show people like, this is who I want. This is somebody in my corner and this is why they're in my corner. I love them for that. So who wants to kick it off?
I'll kick it off. Teachers, man. Right. I love my teachers. Anybody that's teaching youth these days, whether it's virtually or whether it's at home, your pay is not enough. You make only $32,000 to $55,000 a year. You know what I'm saying? $55,000, you had to be in for like 20 years almost.
Yeah.
For the hours that you're putting in, the coaches out there that having to like coach kids and teach PE and do all y'all the real heroes out there, man. Cause y'all trying to function with all this adversity going on. You guys having personal problems yourselves. Some of y'all got kids, figuring out what to do with your kids. And then you're dealing with problems of the kids that you encounter with every day. And then you're trying to figure out how to grade paper and evaluate what they're doing and making sure they learning, at least trying to learn anyway. And then just so much pressure upon y'all. So my shout out goes to teachers, man. Y'all are the real heroes. And hopefully all of y'all don't try to get too many degrees and become administrators, because administration, that's where the money at. So, and that part of education is kind of overcrowded, but we need the people on the front line.
That's good, man. I see what you're saying there. That's good, though. That's good. Quick question on Reggie. On that, do you find that is the case? Most of the good teachers are looking to get into administration, unfortunately, due to the low pay, which teachers should. We all know it should be paid better.
And I've seen
it's our education system, which we can all admit there is a huge break in our education system, especially in the inner cities. Right. We can all agree on that. There's even more of a breakdown there. Because you're talking about good teachers in good areas. Imagine what they're getting.
Right. And part
so
of it has to do with pay, and that's why I never understood the whole defunding of education in schools that don't get tax dollars anyway. If you got these inner city schools, they're not, and you know, most of the schools' salaries and all that stuff is paid through the taxes on the land in the area. So with understanding that, you know, that's why a lot of times you will see a greater, you know, like better education system in most suburban schools, if especially they got a lot of manufacturing and they got a lot of, you know, the reason why Springfield has been able to have pretty high quality schools like Nixon and stuff like that. And, you know, you got Central with the advanced program at Central and stuff like that with, you know, the gifted kids there. And then you got, you know, Kickapoo and all those schools here in Springfield, because you think about all these trucking companies and all this, you know, the land, I mean, you know, land taxes here are pretty expensive. Property taxes are pretty expensive here. Right. So, you know, that's why they're able to have good schools.
I would like to discuss one episode because it makes me think about, I guess, gentrification or even just coming in and building up a neighborhood. Like, it's knowing what it could bring tax-wise, maybe, how some people can see it as always being a negative thing, but that's something we can discuss another time because we can really go both ways with that, and I know that it can put strains on the cost of living for the people who are already there, but at the same time, it does not only it lifts up the neighborhood, makes it look better,
tax dollars,
and some of the homeless, So that's a whole shade that we really should hone in on education in the future, and just for an episode. But who's next on the Keeper's Corner?
Go ahead, Des.
I would like to give a shout out to the person who's been spoken least about in the last 4, 5, 10, 15, 20 years. And that's the good cop. We don't talk at all about the good cop. We only concentrate on the bad ones. I, in my life, have experienced way more good cops than I have bad cops.
Ditto.
Ditto.
But they get mixed in together like criminals, like people of color. They mix them together only because the good cops aren't doing as much speaking out either. They're seeing the things that's going on and they're not saying anything. So that's why they're not being brought to the forefront as a good cop, because they're not
saying nothing.
That
unwritten code.
Actually making the situation worse. So this goes out to all the good cops. From my hometown in Eunice, New Mexico, all the way through all the cities I've ever lived in Mexico, where I lived almost 6 months. These are to the good cops that I've seen and who I've witnessed. We're not coming for you. We're coming for the ones who don't want to do the right thing, who don't want to treat humans with respect, who don't want to abide by the laws that they put an oath up every day to follow. Good cops, this is for you.
Amen. Hallelujah.
Amen, man. Hey. You want to follow that one?
That was dope. Oh, for sure, man. I'm going to give mine to God, man. You know what I mean? Reason being, you know what I'm saying, because this is giving me the breath and the body and the lungs to be here in this world, you know what I'm saying, to have good brothers around me and provide for my family, you know what I'm saying? It keeps me out of harm's way for the time being, you know what I mean? So
amen.
That's what I want to shout out, dog, you know what I mean? And also give me, and I'm blessed to know the fact that I have a mindset where when adversity comes, my mind is to go through it, you know what I'm saying, and not submit to it, you know what I mean? So my shout out goes to God for sure.
Yes.
And brother, and that's a gift from God right there. Woo.
Yeah.
Bruh. You know what I mean? And man, look, I know we are brothers, we are passionate about how we feel. And that's what makes this podcast top notch, better than anyone I've ever listened to in my life. I'm gonna keep it real, you know what I mean? And I'm glad to be a part of it, you know what I'm saying?
Well, and it's because we talk with emotion and conviction.
Because we are. We're black men.
Well, there's this police brutality thing that we really need to talk about.
We're loud. We're loud and we're forceful, and when we speak, people listen. You know what I mean? So we have to also get that.
That's the way I was raised.
Y'all kill me, man. Because hey, it's just and with all this today, I know we'll all get better. I know I'll get better, but when you are developing relationships and as brothers, it's gonna be a little bit, it's just like me and Dez just fight all the time.
It's like that.
Love him anyway.
Man,
Bro,
You know what
I
I'm
tell
saying?
people,
The much love
This
brothers.
is a must. This right
But
here,
we need-
what's
we-
happened
I-
is a must.
and I think
Yeah.
this is what we need to talk about. This is what we actually need to talk about in a show. The reason why I say that is because people think conflict is disturbing of the peace. But I believe that as iron sharpens iron, so does one man count sharpens another.
Another.
You know what I'm saying? I'm a firm believer in that. I believe, and you know, when iron sharpens iron, sparks fly. And it could be a fire.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it
But
could
the
be.
finished product though.
But the finished product is good. Cause now you both, if you was rubbed the right way, not right way, but if you was rubbed to the point where you allowed yourself to change and become sharper, it's gonna benefit both people. What happens is people don't allow themselves to become sharper because they don't like to deal with how something made them feel.
Too uneasy.
That's true. That's a good one.
You're making my edges rough.
Man.
Right.
Smooth it out. Now, you know what I'm saying? I feel you though.
Right.
Wow,
That's the reason why relationships.
man. And then here's why y'all kill me.
That's why relationships don't work either, like between men and women, because sometimes, and I hate to say it, I'm gonna talk about my women on this one, but it's just like they want everything to be so peaceful and my energy
not
ain't
reality.
right. And we understand your energy ain't gonna be right, but we made a decision here. We gotta sharpen each other's iron. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, sometimes I'm not here just to make you feel good only. You got to make me feel good sometimes.
Yeah, that's true. And like y'all did so good, man. I like my keeper's corner. It don't even hold a candle to y'all's, man. But
it's yours though. It's yours.
Right.
No, man. I'm telling you. Like I'm sitting here even since Reggie started. I'm like, okay, let me think of something real quick. And then Des goes, I'm like, oh,
Randy Watson.
And then here comes Damon. I'm like, I think I'm gonna try to some way get out of this today.
Now today you ain't. Man.
All right, here it is, man. Because only because it's my truth, and I think
exactly.
I'm big on. I'm not even gonna explain. You're right. I'm just diving into what I'm trying to explain it for.
It's yours.
Yes.
I'm not doing it.
Pick it, cuz.
Get it, bro. Get it.
Listen,
get it.
Let us be the judge.
Yeah, I'm sure.
No, man, you might judge it here, man.
I know you, Paige. You
man, you might judge it.
Okay,
you might judge it here, man.
I know, but see, I'm cool because I deserve that. I think it's a good conviction.
Kick it.
Because if I have not grown through this conversation here,
right,
then I would read this with a lot more pride.
All right.
But I'm gonna say just so y'all know where I'm coming from.
I can dig it.
All right. So on my keeper's corner, of course I got my daughter here, Aria Renee. But my keeper in my corner, I got Tennessee Governor Bill Lee. On August 18th, he signed the SB 8005 bill. If you're not familiar with it, I believe he made an unpopular decision, but I believe it was the right one. That bill, which many will see it as an anti-protest bill, but it is not. It was created to effectively punish lawlessness and cause those who are destroying property to have to pay for damages, and could also temporarily lose voting rights. Hats off for standing up and making an effort to quell violence and unrest, and ultimately protecting innocent people and their businesses. Governor Bill Lee, Tennessee, SB Bill 8005. That's what Reggie approves of this message.
So he made a bill that the riders have to pay
in the house when I researched it.
And
When
they can't vote?
And see, that's the way it's being cast. But when you read through the bill, it's actually being cast that they completely lose voting rights, but it's a temporary thing. When I looked into the bill, it's been back and forth, and he himself agreed that it wasn't something. How it's designed is not how he would have wanted it, but he felt the need to get it signed and into law to hopefully. The main thing target is camping. People cannot be on state property because in Tennessee they've had fires in their state buildings, and out right outside directly outside their state buildings.
Right.
And so this is something that he was looking at to hopefully stop those who are not protesting in a peaceful manner, to stop them from being unruly.
To divert an action that really I mean, to me, I understand rioting, but I get why that bill should, and hopefully it's effective, you know what I mean? But hopefully it would deter people from doing that. And there's a takeaway, because I'll be honest, I'm tired of people using that as an excuse not to listen to the actual protest.
Right.
I hear. Yep. Oh, see that writing now. Now you know why we don't listen. That's ridiculous. No, you're not listening because you're blocking out that side. You know there's riots, but you also know there's protesting.
Right.
So don't try to act like, oh, they're rioting, so I'm not gonna listen now. They don't. That's not cool.
Yeah, exactly. So I like that bill. I think that bill is very
I see what he's
hopefully
doing.
it'll deter somebody to think different. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just my. So I can get behind that.
All right, so that will conclude this episode of my. Somebody close this episode, man. I'm still stuck on this, man.
I think this was a phenomenal episode. I think even if you let the realness and the raw and put parental advise, make sure you put that on there. There was a very passionate conversation, and also too, if anything that was said to be misconstrued, I mean, listen to the whole video in context, because I think, even though, we got very passionate, but we also, if somebody listens to it, they can look at the whole thing and say, oh, okay, here's what they were saying in context. Like, like what we, talked about with the black and white thing. We're not saying these are not general statements, even though they may come off as general statements, we do understand that it's not like that. There is a gray, there is a in between. There are great white cops, phenomenal white cops. I always follow the guy from Little Rock, Arkansas, Tommy Norman. If y'all don't know anything
from
about
Arkansas?
Tommy Norman, Little Rock, Arkansas.
Yeah.
He's the one that he has an Instagram and a Facebook page, and he mentally disabled people. He go and take them to the grocery store. He take them shopping and stuff like that. A lot of rappers and stuff send him a lot of money and stuff, to give a lot of his people that he deal with, constituents. And I mean, in his neighborhood, he go around, and I mean, he's a white dude. He hang out with all the mentally disabled black people, and take them to their doctor's appointments and do all that stuff when he's off duty. And and I mean, love that guy. So I would say, look, to me, when I look at officers, he is the gold standard. And I appreciate him. People say, well, why he record everything and stuff I feel like he should, because that also hopefully somebody will see that and say, hey, I want to be a police like that in my community.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And I love him. It'll do anybody good to follow that. Officer Tommy Norman out of Little Rock, Arkansas.
Right.
Dude is a beast, man.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Big shout out there. Brothers, we wrapped it up another one. I know we are all knowing the passion and conviction with which we spoke. We ready. Dez was in the kitchen at the beginning of the episode. I'm sure he's ready to go fix that plate. Likewise. Much love to y'all, brothers. And hey, it's My Brother's Keeper. All right, that finishes this episode of My Brother's Keeper. Dez, Damon, Reggie Harris, and I'm Calvin Cleaver. 4 men, 4 voices, 4 views, 4 truths, and we out.
You can hear right, y'all doing the wrong. Bars break the beat, now that's a dope song. You can dance like homie, not the jeans.